Hey, what's up everybody? Marcello here from GameCube Galaxy, and today I wanted to discuss 10 picks that I want to see on the GameCube Online service for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, when this service was announced back in the beginning of April when we were seeing everything for the Switch 2, to say I was excited was, well, an understatement.
Let's go! Let's go, GameCube baby!
Now, it is amazing to see the games that Nintendo did pick for the service already within its probable first year, and they were all pretty much the higher-end GameCube exclusives. But I want to pick the games that were not announced. So today I'm going to discuss 10 of my picks, but there are some stipulations. The first one is that you're not going to hear of any licensed games. It's very rare to come across licensed games getting released on the NSO. The only instance of it happening really was GoldenEye for the N64, and hence being a rare, pun intended, instance. But outside of that, there will be no licensed games mentioned. The second instance will be the fact that there will be no M-rated games mentioned in this list. The reason being is that, much like the N64, it later got an updated version of that app on the Switch 1 for the mature plus 17 games. And that's probably going to be the case for the GameCube service as well. So when that time does come, I will do another video of 10 of my mature rated picks for the console. Now, this is in no particular order. These are just 10 games that I want to see. So with all that being said, let's dive into my list of 10 GameCube games I want to see on the Switch 2 online service. We're going to kick it off with a snowboarding franchise that, frankly, I feel it was left in the dust with the GameCube era, but is one that I can never recommend enough. This was the first game I ever reviewed on the channel, and that is 1080 Avalanche. Now, 1080 Avalanche is a game that I very much love on the console. It is a game I reviewed. I will leave a link for the review in the description down below. Additionally, it's a game that really is just an exhilarating rush from start to finish. The sense of speed is fantastic. The adrenaline rush you get after trying to outrun an avalanche at the end of certain match race events, or just going off of crazy jumps, grinding, linking combos together, playing a variety of modes. 1080 Avalanche is just one of those games that's an exhilarating rush, and I feel like coming from its predecessor, this improved upon a lot of aspects. The controls felt a lot tighter, a lot more responsive. The gameplay overall was more exciting. Again, I love 1080 snowboarding on the N64. Avalanche definitely ups the ante, and it just feels a little bit more evolved for a franchise. The soundtrack is fantastic, the course design is excellent, the graphics are fantastic, the gameplay is just addictive. It's on the shorter side, but if anything, it's perfect for the Switch 2 online service because it's the perfect pick up and play game where you can go through match races in a mere matter of minutes. It's one of the exclusives that I feel should be in everyone's GameCube collection, whether you like snowboarding games or not, but you also like racing games. There's just something about it that's exhilarating, and to this day, I mean, it's a shame that Nintendo has done nothing else with the franchise, but with the return of this coming to the Switch 2 as an online service, here's hoping that maybe, with enough attention, Nintendo might bring the franchise back. So next up out of my picks is gonna be one that was unfortunately the only game that this publisher and developer released on the GameCube, and that is Star Fox Adventures. Now, there were two Star Fox games for the GameCube, right? You had Star Fox Adventures and you had Star Fox Assault that came out later on, courtesy of Namco developing that one. However, between the two titles, I have to say that Star Fox Adventures is one that I found far superior for a variety of reasons. First off, Rareware, being the developers of this one, really fired on all cylinders when making this. Now, originally this was supposed to be Dinosaur Planet for the N64, and then was later recreated for the GameCube with Fox McCloud taking the helm as the main character and taking place within the Star Fox universe. Instead of it being strictly a flight combat game, this time players stepped into the shoes of Fox McCloud as he tackles a mission on the planet of Saria and has to help the inhabitants of the dinosaur planet itself while coming across a cast of characters. Now, this game was very much a Zelda-like adventure. Granted, it was an adventure game of its own right with its own soul, but there is some influence from the Zelda formula. But despite that, the game does a fantastic job of infusing its own identity as an adventure game, using Fox McCloud and his crew of characters, while also using the R-Wing when flying between certain locations within the planet. I have to say, Star Fox Adventures is one that I absolutely love. It's one that captivates me every time I start it over and want to play it from start to finish. It's a fantastic game. It's another one that I reviewed on the channel, and I have to say, between the two Star Fox games for the GameCube, this is the one I would far rather see released on the GameCube Online service due to the importance of showcasing just how much Rareware understood the assignment, understood the GameCube hardware very early into the console's life cycle, and showcasing what I still think is one of the most stunning looking games on the console, let alone an awesome adventure. Next up is going to be a game that I've put well over 200 hours into, and that is Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Now, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle is not only one of my favorite 3D platformers available on the GameCube, but it's probably my favorite 3D Sonic game of all time. Now, it could be the nostalgia glasses behind it, but realistically, it's one of those games I can't help but think about my memories when I fired this game up for the first time and I did the City Escape level, and the music and the set piece and everything about it has a phenomenal startup to a game that really is just an absolute blast from start to finish. Even despite some gripes like camera issues or some of the slower paced levels with Knuckles and Rouge, the game itself really is just a blast, and it's one of those games that I could put so many more hours into even despite that. Additionally, with the Chow functionality, having that now on the Switch 2's online service, being the fact that it's online compatible and the fact that you can actually play this thing on the go and not have to connect a GBA to the GameCube so that you can transfer your Chow to play with on the go or level up on the go and vice versa. The idea of having that functionality and playing this game on the go or docked, I mean, let's face it, how many people are gonna sink in a few hundred hours replaying this game? I'm one of them. So, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, easily the best 3D Sonic game, easily the best Sonic game available for the GameCube, and the GameCube was quite the home for Sonic games. But if there's one that I would love to see over any other, it's gonna be this one. So next up is gonna be one that was a launch title for the console, both in Japan and North America, and this is one that actually got an HD remake in some ways a few years ago, but I'd rather see this original version return, and that is Super Monkey Ball. Now, Super Monkey Ball is, again, one of those games that I always recommend on the channel. I've brought it up numerous times. I will not stop bringing this game up because this game is as perfect as it gets. The main game itself is absolutely addictive. The mini games that you can play are downright amazing. And the fact of Monkey Target alone, which the remake completely botched in Banana Mania, is enough reason for this to get re-released on the Switch's online service for the GameCube, because if you have that on there, I promise you, whether you're playing with friends on the couch or if you take it online with your friends, there will be countless hours to be had just with that single mode alone. It's a really nice game to look at visually. The gameplay is just flawless. The controls are perfect. When I think of the GameCube, this is one of those top 10 games I think about. This is one of those games that comes to mind that I go, this was a game that was designed for the console specifically and takes full advantage of the hardware and truly makes it a game that is worth playing whether solo or with a group of friends. No matter how you play it, Super Monkey Ball 1 is still the ultimate Super Monkey Ball game, bar none. Now, with the new Joy-Cons being a little bit larger and the thumbsticks being a little bit larger, it feels like a no-brainer to bring an FPS to the console. So, I gotta highlight what I think is the greatest first-person shooter on the GameCube, and that is TimeSplitters 2. TimeSplitters 2 is a spiritual successor to GoldenEye and Perfect Dark from the team over at Free Radical, comprising of former Rareware members. And the game is absolutely sublime. And this was a game that not only was full-fledged on a campaign and multiplayer, but also allows you to create your own maps within the map maker mode, and furthermore, creating your own single-player content with objectives. You get to program AI in the game, and you get to program their paths and their actions and if and then statements for the characters, or things that happen or certain trigger events. And that's just a side component to the game. The main campaign that stretches 10 missions long, each with different objectives depending on the difficulty you play on, so different routes, as well as a full-fledged multiplayer, whether single player or 4-player. You can do a multiplayer campaign mode, which is basically doing the multiplayer missions in co-op, or you could also just play the story mode in co-op. The game has so much content, the gunplay is tight, it's a blast to play, it's frenetic, it's fun, it's got a fantastic soundtrack. It's a game that, again, you play it either handheld or docked, you play it with friends on the couch, or you take it online and bring your maps online and verse other people. TimeSplitters 2 is as perfect of an FPS as it gets, and I still prefer this one over Future Perfect. I just want to do a shout out to today's sponsor of this video, Goodiez. While going to conventions or going on eBay to get retro games is all fine and dandy, there is a one-stop shop to get a variety of retro games or even current games where you can buy, sell, and even trade in all through the app called Goodiez. Now, through this app, you can go ahead and create a profile where you can go ahead and sell your items. You can also pick and choose which games you're looking for. You can even provide offers. So let's say you're looking for a game like Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube and you're looking for a complete in-box copy in a certain condition. You can actually select all that as well as choose what price point you are willing to spend. And if a seller sees that, they can throw an offer your way and you can go ahead and make that transaction happen. Additionally, you can trade in games through the app directly easily. Simply go to the trade-in tab at the bottom, type in the game you're looking to trade in, and you will see the current value, at which point, once you select it and you have a list of games you want to get rid of, you can move forward and get a shipping label printed out, send it directly to the address for Goodiez themselves, and they will pay you out through the app to use as trade-in credit. Now, what's interesting is that the credit they will offer you will be upwards to 70% of price charting value on a variety of games. Additionally, you can also pre-order games that are at wholesale prices. So Switch 2 games will be available at wholesale prices through them. Something like Cyberpunk 2077 that'll be retailing for less than $60 versus $70 out in the stores. So if you guys are interested, I will leave a link to the Goodiez app description down below, and it'll take you there and you can go ahead and install it on either iOS or Android. Thank you again to Goodiez for sponsoring today's video. Back to the list. So next up is a 3D platformer that did not get as much love, and it's one that I very much enjoyed. This is another one I reviewed on the channel, and that is Wario World. Now, what's sad is that Wario World was a one and done game for the character. Here we have a character that really had a fantastic lineup of Game Boy games up to the GBA, and then Wario World took it to the 3D dimension. And Treasure was the developer of this game, and honestly, this is just an absolute hidden gem. When I reviewed this on the channel, I could not put this game down, and while it's not very long, you could beat the game 100% within maybe 4 hours, 5 hours max. But you know what? That whole duration is just an absolute blast. Now, it has its quirks, it has some inconsistencies that get a little frustrating, but the overall gameplay is just so well done, and it nails the character of Wario himself really, really nicely. I have to say, Treasure really did a fantastic job with this, teaming up with Nintendo to bring a 3D platformer for the character to the GameCube exclusively, and to this day has never received an HD remaster or a sequel of any capacity is a damn shame. It is still one of the must-play experiences on the console, and bringing it to the Switch's online service would finally give so many other people a chance to experience what I deem to be one of the best 3D platformers on the GameCube. Now here's another launch title for the GameCube that I was really excited for back in the day. I've mentioned it on the channel a few times. I've reviewed it on the channel. It was the second game I ever reviewed on the channel actually. And that game is Wave Race Blue Storm. Now, I know there are a lot of people in a divisive camp with this game. Some people do not like it and some absolutely love it. While I absolutely love Wave Race 64 and I still will say that that's the best installment in the series, I still really loved Blue Storm. It's a little different, the controls are a little bit more sensitive than the predecessor, but the levels themselves are pretty sweet, the races are fun, the characters are cool, the fact that there's a Grand Prix on top of the stunt mode returning and a time attack and 4-player action, it really is awesome to see this game return. Furthermore, the weather effects in this game were way ahead of its time. We had not really seen a game nail weather effects like this, and especially for a launch title, what an impressive way to showcase the graphical prowess of the GameCube. That being said, Wave Race Blue Storm is a game that I've always had a blast with, and it's one that sadly was the end of a franchise. After this game, Nintendo completely dropped the franchise, and it's been 24 years since they've released a new Wave Race. So again, I see this as an opportunity to revitalize the franchise, bring it to the GameCube Online service, and have many check out what I feel is an underappreciated racer for the GameCube. Alright, so next up is kind of an obvious pick, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I mean, come on, how will we not include Super Smash Bros. Melee? What's clearly deemed as the greatest fighting game available on the GameCube, it's the highest selling game of all time on the GameCube. It's a game that I've put countless hours into replaying over and over and over again, whether it's solo, whether it's with friends and multiplayer. Now, the one reason I want to see this also on here is because it offers a mode that we have not seen since, and that is the adventure mode. This single player mode is something that I've always found to be the highlight of Melee, which is going through a celebration of Nintendo franchises, going stage to stage and platforming levels, the first level being Mushroom Kingdom and pretty much an homage to World 1-1, or Hyrule Castle and it's a maze, or another level where you're running along the track of Big Blue trying to outpace dirty F-Zero vehicles coming your way. Or even something like escaping Brinstar, much like Samus would have done in Metroid. To me, it's this little celebration that really culminates into one of the best single-player modes of Super Smash, if not the best single-player mode. Personally, I also love Subspace Emissary and Super Smash Brawl on the Wii. After that, I felt like we've never gotten anything that was deemed as an awesome single-player mode for the Smash series, and I would love for people to get a chance to check out the adventure mode alone just for this. But let's face it, outside of that, you can play this for countless hours and wave dash to your heart's desire. So Super Smash Bros. Melee is an absolute must. It'd be really foolish of Nintendo to not release this as one of the classics. Okay, so the next one is a game that ended up getting a sequel announced at this Direct, and that is Kirby Air Ride. Now, Kirby Air Ride is one I reviewed on the channel about a year and a half ago from the time of this video, and honestly, it's a game that I never really had a chance to play back when it came out. It wasn't until I actually decided to review this that I actually said, wow, how have I not played this game to its entirety before? This is one of the most unique racing games on the GameCube, but it's also just a unique game in general because while Kirby Air Ride would make you think it's solely a racer, it's the game's city trial mode that you'll have you returning time and time again. The game does feel like 3 separate games in itself, which I describe in my review, which I'll link down below. And it's honestly one of those games that it's kind of a no-brainer for people to get their hands on trying the original where it started out before the sequel comes out. The city trial mode alone, playing online with friends, would really provide countless hours of entertainment until Kirby Air Riders releases later into the Switch 2's life cycle. But I have to say, Kirby Air Ride is one of those games that was very much swept under the rug, many missed out on, and those who did play it know why it was such an amazing game, thanks to its city trial mode and various other modes within, and what better way to introduce players to the franchise before the sequel. Now, my last game I'm picking is one that I don't know if it's gonna happen, and this is due to licensed music in the game, but it is my #1 request out of anything else that has not been mentioned yet. The next game I'm gonna pick is gonna be an obvious pick for those who know me, but it's also going to be a pick because other games that I wanna see are already happening or have happened on the Switch in some capacity. Something like Resident Evil 4, I could play the original version just in HD with, well, the Resident Evil 4 HD release that they have on the Switch. Or F-Zero GX, well, that's coming day 1 to the Switch 2, so that leaves my next pick as an obvious one, and that is SSX3. Now, yes, I highlighted a snowboarding game at the start of this video, and I very much do love 1080 Avalanche, but SSX3 is by far the de facto gold standard of a snowboarding game out there, bar none. There is no other snowboarding game that comes close to matching the awe that SSX3 has. This game completely revolutionizes the genre. The fact that you had an open mountain with 3 peaks, you get to play as a cast of characters all with their own unique personality, you get to level up the character, earn money to upgrade stats, unlock boards, having this living, breathing mountain to board down, and then having DJ Atomica provide this commentary that really made everything just feel very much lively and like you were part of the mountain. And with its fantastic visuals, excellent soundtrack, buttery smooth controls, and absolutely sublime, masterful gameplay, SSX3 is, to this day, not only the best snowboarding game, but one of the greatest games ever created, and it really would be amazing for players to get a chance to experience this on the Switch 2, whether it's handheld, docked, taking it online with friends. I can't think of a better experience to have on a hybrid console than SSX3. And specifically SSX3, not this trash. Those are my picks of what I would like to see on the Switch's GameCube Online service. Frankly, I could go through a whole other list of games here realistically, but I felt like these were a handful that I would very much love to see on the platform, but more importantly, to give people a chance to check out some games that they've missed during the GameCube era. And believe me, there are many, sadly, that missed out on these. So, what are your picks? I would love to hear your thoughts down below, so definitely comment away. What do you think about my picks? Anything that you agree with, any you disagree with? Sound off in the comments down below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, and let's get that discussion going. Additionally, shout out to my GCG Nation enthusiasts, Local S'mores Pop-Tart, Retro Wolf Alejandro Mendoza, and Julio Cesar Garcia Zamora 34 for further supporting the channel. If you really enjoy the content and are interested in further supporting the channel, click that join button, and for $2 a month, you'll get early access to videos, membership shoutouts and videos, and exclusive icons that I made that go next to your username when commenting. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you all in the next episode, GCG Nation.